It started with a flash of movement behind glass. I was walking down 3rd Avenue, collar turned up against the drizzle, when I stopped to check my phone. The sidewalk pulsed with light from street lamps and passing cars, the smell of wet concrete thick in the air. A bar across the street glowed warm through its windows, low music, clinking glasses, faces lit by amber overheads. Nothing unusual. Until one of those faces turned. Emily. My wife. She was seated in a corner booth, wine glass in hand, leaning in close to someone across the table. I didn't recognize him at first. Just a silhouette. Then he laughed, quick, familiar, easy, and I knew. Daniel. My best friend. The rest of the scene sharpened like a camera coming into focus. Her hand on his wrist. His thumb tracing slow circles on her fingers. The way her head tilted, intimate, automatic. She smiled. Not the smile she gave me in the morning. This one lived deeper. Then she kissed him. A quiet, practiced kiss. I didn't move. Didn't blink. Just stood there, a few feet from a curb, watching my marriage rewrite itself in real time. Someone brushed past me, umbrella bumping my arm. The wet sting of wind hit my cheek. I reached into my coat pocket, pulled out a cigarette I hadn't touched in months, and lit it with trembling fingers. The smoke curled up into the New York night, bitter on my tongue, acrid in my lungs. My whole body burned in silence. They didn't see me. And that somehow hurt more. I turned and walked. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't go home. Not yet. I ended up on the High Line, deserted at that hour, rain tapping gently against the railing. My thoughts spiraled in the dark. How long had this been going on? When had comfort become betrayal? Was it after her brother's arrest, the family scandal that left her emotionally gutted, unraveling on our couch, crying into Daniel's shoulder when I had to work late? He was just helping, she said. And I believed her. That night, after I'd gone to bed early, she said Daniel stayed to talk. I even thanked him for being there. I shook his hand. Told him I owed him one. Now I watched that favor burn through every part of me. I didn't scream. Didn't call. Didn't break anything. I just walked home in the rain. By the time I reached our apartment, my clothes were soaked through, and my jaw ached from clenching it shut. Emily was already in bed when I stepped inside. Her voice came from the dark, soft and casual. Everything okay? Yeah, I said. Just needed air. She didn't stir. You smell like smoke. Ran into a guy from work. He lit one up. It stuck. A pause. Then, try not to bring that inside. You know it lingers. I said nothing. In the bathroom, I peeled off my coat and stared at my reflection. My face looked older than it had that morning. My hands shook as I brushed my teeth. Back in the bedroom, I slid under the covers beside the woman I no longer recognized. The sound of her breathing was even. Peaceful. I hated how normal it all seemed. I lay there staring at the ceiling, the taste of cigarette still on my tongue, and knew one thing with total clarity. This would not end in screaming matches or broken furniture. It would end with strategy. Before the betrayal, there was comfort. Before comfort, there was love. Emily and I met on a foggy September afternoon in Central Park. She was sitting on a bench, reading Siddhartha, and I asked her for the time. That was my excuse, at least. She looked up, smiled, and said, "It's late, if you're waiting for something to change." That was her. Poised, warm, unknowingly sharp. We dated for 2 years, married on a rooftop in Brooklyn with the skyline behind us, then bought a small brownstone in Cobble Hill we swore we'd grow into. She painted the nursery before we even started trying. That was Emily, too, always one step ahead. And then came the scandal. Her brother, Travis, got arrested for embezzlement. He was a portfolio manager, good at math, bad at ethics. The media turned him into a headline, and Emily became collateral damage. Our home, once filled with weekend brunches and jazz, became a place of whispered phone calls and wine-soaked silences. She cried on our kitchen floor the night his mugshot hit the news. I held her until the sobs stopped, promised we'd get through it together. That's when Daniel started showing up more. Daniel, my best friend since college. He'd been my best man, the godfather to our daughter Lily. He helped us hang shelves in the nursery. He and Emily got along well, maybe too well. But I never questioned it. Not then. When the press calls got bad, when Travis's bail was posted and family tension simmered into something unmanageable, Daniel came by with takeout and a bottle of wine. Just trying to lighten things up, he said. He and Emily would laugh in the kitchen while I sat on the couch trying to catch up on work emails. I remember thinking how lucky I was to have a friend like him. Then things shifted. Emily started going on solo walks. I need to clear my head, she'd say. Her phone spent more time face down. She laughed less with me, more with her screen. When I asked who she was texting, the answer was always Claire or Mom. But Claire moved to Philadelphia last fall. And her mom called, not texted. One night, I found a receipt on the dining table, 2 cocktails and a shared dessert from a bar in the East Village. Date stamped 10:48 p.m. She said she'd been at yoga. I didn't argue. I just filed it away. There was also the perfume. Something subtle and new. A citruswood blend she never wore for me. Then there were the calls. I'd walk into a room and hear the click of the phone locking. The quick shift in tone. Once, she ended a call mid-sentence when I stepped into the hallway. Just a vendor from work, she explained. That vendor never called back. Still, I held off. I gave her room. People process stress in different ways, and she was grieving her brother, her reputation, her sense of stability. That's what I told myself. Until the night she said Daniel had come by to check in. He just wanted to see how I was doing, she said, avoiding eye contact as she pulled her hoodie over her head. I asked why I hadn't heard the door. He didn't stay long, she said. I didn't want to wake you. I wanted to believe her. So I did. But that's when the doubt truly began to root. I started looking. Quietly. Carefully. Phone bills. Bank statements. Her fitness tracker, linked to our joint calendar, showed movement patterns that didn't match her stories. She was at Daniel's neighborhood twice the week she said she was working late. And then there were the messages I found on our iPad. She didn't know it was still synced to her iCloud. Most of the messages had been deleted. But a few, ghosts of conversations, remained in notification previews. Last night felt right again. I still think about your hand on my back when I said goodbye. He's so tired lately, he doesn't see anything. I saw enough. The hardest part was pretending I didn't. I kissed her forehead every morning. I helped pack Lily's lunch. I picked up groceries, refilled prescriptions, and listened to her tell stories about work that were increasingly vague and full of, you had to be there, moments. I was there. I had always been there. She was the one who had left. Only now, I saw it wasn't a clean break. It was a slow, methodical undoing, quiet evenings rewritten, late-night laughter repurposed, loyalty exchanged for comfort under false pretense. And all of it, co-signed by the man I once trusted most. Daniel. I didn't ask her about him again. Instead, I made an appointment with a lawyer. The morning after I found the last message, he's so tired lately, he doesn't see anything, I opened a clean document on my laptop and titled it Exit Plan. There was no rage. Just resolve. Step 1, speak to a lawyer. I contacted Julia Monroe, a partner in a boutique family law firm in Manhattan. Her reviews read like battle hymns, smart, measured, brutal when necessary. She called me back the same day. We met on a Friday, late afternoon. Her office overlooked Madison Square Park. While taxis screamed below us, she listened without interruption as I laid everything out, Emily's affair, the deception, the entanglement with Daniel, and my daughter Lily caught quietly in the center of it all. You've done more documentation than most clients who've been separated 6 months, she said after I finished. That's good. Let's talk about your priorities. Lily, I said immediately. And the house. I don't want to disrupt her routine. Julia nodded. You'll want custody first, not ownership. Judges look at continuity and emotional stability. That's your strongest leverage. We built a checklist. Bank records. Photos. Travel logs. Anything relevant to demonstrate not just infidelity, but negligence in parenting judgment. She handed me a branded folder with dividers. Treat this like a case file. Because it is. Next, I opened a new email account, something private, untraceable, separate from our shared devices. I uploaded everything to a secure cloud, screenshots, time-stamped images, receipts from nights she claimed to be elsewhere. I wasn't looking for revenge. I was building a foundation. I installed a motion-activated camera near our entryway. Not hidden, just discreet. It logged arrivals and exits, confirming what I already knew: Emily was rarely home when she said she was. The day after the camera went up, I changed the passcode to my laptop. Then the PIN on our shared tablet. Then I reset all security questions to things she couldn't guess. That same week, I reached out to Marcus, a friend from college who'd quietly survived a drawn-out divorce 2 years earlier. We met for drinks, no judgment, no performance. "You don't look like someone whose marriage just imploded," he said. "I'm past the explosion," I replied. "Now I'm diagramming the wreckage." He tapped his glass. "That's the only way to win. Calm beats chaos." He walked me through the logistics: joint asset freezes, custody affidavit templates, even suggestions for when and how to serve papers so Lily wouldn't see. I took notes. I read case law at night. I started outlining possible mediation points on a yellow legal pad I kept in my nightstand. Each step forward made things quieter inside me. My next move was emotional insulation. I made an appointment with Dr. Hadley, a therapist recommended by Julia. I didn't go to talk about betrayal. I went to talk about control. "I'm not here to cry," I told her in the first session. "I'm here to maintain stability, for Lily, and for myself." She nodded. "Then we start with containment. You don't need to express everything. You just need to manage what you feel, so you can act clearly." She gave me breathing strategies. Scripts for high-stress moments. A framework for what she called situational detachment. I wasn't blocking pain, I was budgeting it. I also spoke to my father. A man of few words, but many lived experiences. He divorced my mother when I was 12. Quietly. Without ever badmouthing her. "She left before she left," he said when I finally told him about Emily. I nodded. "I think I just pretended not to see it." He put a hand on my shoulder. "Don't confuse grace with blindness. You saw it when it mattered." He offered to watch Lily whenever I needed legal meetings or just space. I thanked him, and used his offer immediately. The following week, I began preparing Lily's world for the transition she didn't know was coming. I started rotating her bedtime stories to include themes of change. I created a version of her schedule that included solo time with both parents, just to see how she responded. She was fine. More resilient than either of us deserved. Meanwhile, Emily noticed none of it. She continued drifting further out, longer walks, quieter evenings, vague text replies. One night, I asked how her brother was doing. She blinked, caught off guard. "Why? You haven't mentioned him in weeks." "Oh. He's fine. Still in court prep." But Travis's case had been settled a month ago. Another lie, layered onto the pile. I said nothing. That weekend, she said she was going to a gallery opening with Claire. I kissed her on the cheek, told her to have fun. As soon as she left, I opened the GPS tracking app synced to the old iPad I'd stashed in my office drawer. She wasn't at a gallery. She was at Daniel's condo on the Upper West Side. I took a screenshot. Logged the timestamp. Saved it to the case file. The night before the confrontation, I packed a bag for Lily. A couple days' worth of clothes, her favorite stuffed rabbit, her sketchpad. I brought her to my dad's and told her it was a special sleepover. I didn't cry. I just told her I loved her, more than anything, and that I'd see her in a few days. I drove home slowly. Emily wasn't back yet. I laid the documents on the table. Copies of the custody proposal. The financial records. A printed stack of messages. And between them all, the photo from our Cape Cod weekend, the one with her wind-blown hair, both of us laughing, barefoot in the sand. Beside that, I placed the ceramic ashtray we brought home from that trip. The one she once said was too ugly to be beautiful. We'd used it maybe twice. It sat on the table like a clock, counting down. I went to bed early. The house was still. I didn't rehearse anything. I didn't need to. The next day, it would all begin. And I was ready. She walked through the front door just after 8:30 p.m., the scent of rain and perfume trailing behind her. "Sorry I'm late," she said, hanging her coat. Claire's +1 cancelled, so we stayed for the second panel. I didn't respond. I was sitting at the dining table, back straight, hands folded. The documents were laid out neatly in front of me: custody proposal, asset disclosures, call logs, a printed stack of messages. Between them sat a photo from our Cape Cod trip and the ceramic ashtray we brought home from that weekend. The one she said was too ugly to display. The one I'd never thrown out. She saw the papers. Then me. Then the ashtray. "What is this?" she asked, voice already thinner than usual. "Sit," I said. She didn't move right away. When she did, her hands rested on the back of the chair instead of pulling it out. "Michael, what is this?" "I know about Daniel," I said. "And I know it didn't start last week." Her mouth opened, but I raised a hand. "Don't deny it. I'm not here for confessions. I'm here for clarity." She looked down. Her fingers tightened on the chair. "I have everything. The messages. The locations. The late-night excuses. I even have the gallery you didn't attend tonight." She started, then stopped. "Don't," I said again. "This isn't a trial. You're not being cross-examined. I'm done hoping for an explanation that won't insult both of us." She sat, slowly. I slid the custody agreement toward her. "Lily stays with me. You'll have weekends. Alternating holidays. It's structured, clean, fair." Tears welled in her eyes. She didn't wipe them. "I never meant for it to become this," she whispered. "But you let it," I said. "You chose comfort over commitment. With the one person I trusted most." A beat of silence. Then she asked, "How long have you known?" "Long enough to prepare." Her eyes went to the ashtray. "You kept that." "I thought it meant something. Now, it's just a prop in our final scene." She let out a sound, half laugh, half breath. "You're scaring me." "No," I said, calm as stone. "I'm saving Lily. From the version of us that lies in silence and kisses people we swear are just friends." She folded her hands in her lap. "So what now?" "I file tomorrow. The lawyer's ready. Lily is staying with my father until things are official." "You already moved her out." "I protected her. While you were out getting protected by Daniel." She winced. I softened my tone, not for her, but for the child who would one day ask how it ended. "This doesn't have to get ugly. You'll still be her mother. But you don't get to drag her through your personal collapse." Emily wiped her cheek. "Do you hate me?" "No," I said. "But I won't grieve who you chose to become." Silence stretched across the table. Then I stood. She reached for the photo. "Leave it," I said. "We're done framing the past." I picked up the ashtray and set it in the middle of the kitchen counter. Not broken. Not thrown. Just placed somewhere else. "I'll sleep in the office tonight," I said. "You can take the bed." Emily didn't argue. She just sat there, hands on the table, staring at the life she'd let collapse, one decision at a time. And I walked away. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. Emily didn't contest the terms. Whether out of guilt or resignation, she signed each page with quiet efficiency. The judge nodded his approval, stamped the documents, and wished us peace in the next chapter. I walked out of that courtroom with primary custody, full residency rights, and a daughter who still believed the world made sense. That was the real victory. We kept the brownstone. I repainted the hallway where our wedding photo once hung. The nail holes remained, but Lily helped me tape her drawings over them, crayon sketches of rainbows, our dog, me holding her hand under a smiling sun. "You forgot the clouds," she said once. "Not this time," I replied. "I bought a new filing cabinet. It wasn't for evidence. It was for school forms, recipes, letters. The things we build lives with when we stop defending them." Emily saw Lily every other weekend. I kept it polite. Civil. She tried to apologize once, in the driveway, eyes glossed, voice trembling. "I'm not looking for sorry," I said. "I'm looking forward." She nodded, and I think she meant it. But that was the last emotional conversation we ever had. One night, after Lily fell asleep, I found the old ceramic ashtray tucked into a kitchen drawer. I hadn't thrown it away. I set it beside the stove, filled it with spare keys, paper clips, and a roll of stamps. It didn't feel broken anymore. In the evenings, I started writing. It began as a private journal, notes to Lily, things I might tell her when she was older. Then it grew. I started posting under a pseudonym on a forum for single fathers, essays about keeping calm through betrayal, about protecting children without vilifying their mothers. The posts found readers. Then replies. Then quiet thank yous. I titled the blog, After the Fire. Eventually, a small publisher reached out. Nothing huge. Just a collection of reflections, to be bound and sold for a niche audience. I said yes. Not because I needed it, but because it meant something survived. My evenings were filled with story time and pizza nights. Lily learned to ride a bike that spring. When she fell, she didn't cry. She brushed gravel off her knees and said, "Next time I won't fall here." Resilience. That's what she inherited. Not bitterness. On her 9th birthday, I gave her a new sketchbook and a set of colored pencils. She drew a picture of our house, sunlight in the windows, curtains blowing out like sails. "Do you like it?" she asked. "I love it. It's us. After everything." I hugged her tight. And for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel like I was rebuilding a life. I felt like I was finally living one.